Okay.
Okay. Welcome. So, myself and Rookie spoke to each other about 3 weeks ago, I think. We'd connected on LinkedIn, we'd followed each other's posts, and then I can't remember who contacted who, but we decided to have a chat. We arranged a Zoom call and we just chatted for ages. We got on really well. So, we had to book in another Zoom call. And then the conversations were talking about Rookie and her son and your insecurities and concerns when you went out to eat. And my experience from my hospitality background and my own daughter who has allergies and intolerances. And we came up with such interesting conversations, we felt we should share them. That's about right, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to talk on a weekly basis for the next few weeks. Rookie and Jacqui, let's chat allergies. This is part one. So, would you like to introduce yourself, Rookie?
So, hello everybody. I am Rookie. I run a company called Wombie's Kitchen. The purpose of that company is to make sure that anyone who has an allergy or a dietary requirement or an intolerance, if they're vegetarian, they're vegan, that they're treated equally as well as people who are normal, and that they get great tasting food. So, the reason this all started was because I've got a dairy allergic son. He's now a teenager, and we found out when he was 4 months old. We found out the very hard way. We ended up in A&E, so that it wasn't great. Since then, I have obviously adapted a lot of my cooking methods and things that we do around the house to be safe for him. We've had lots of experiences eating out as a family, going on holidays, and all these things that people take for granted. Going to the supermarket, it can be really hard for someone who has someone with an allergy or an intolerance in their world. Even going to people's houses and to children's parties, all these things that you don't really think about. And that's the kind of thing that kind of led me to where I am now. So I used to be a consultant for a large telecoms company. 2 years ago, I got voluntary redundancy, which is amazing, and I trained as an events manager. And I did a cooking course on the side. That cooking course has now turned into, well, it was a hobby to start with, and it's now turned into my career. And as part of that, I am absolutely passionate that we share the message. Other people who are going through the same thing, share the message and raise awareness about allergies and intolerances, how they affect people, and the impact it has on their everyday lives, and simple things that we can do as caterers who work in the field of working in kitchens to make people's lives easier, and ultimately bring in more revenue for those companies that are doing the small changes to fit around those people. So that's who I am. I'm Rookie. Thank you very much. Jacqui, I guess it's over to you.
Brilliant, thank you. So my name's Jacqui McPeake. My business is Jack's Limited, which is Jackie's Allergen and Catering Specialist. So my background is 30 plus years in the hospitality industry. I spent 20 years at Manchester Metropolitan University. I was head of catering for 10 years. We had 36,000 students, 4,000 staff. And about 4 years into my role, the law changed on allergen management. So we had to ensure that all our team were trained. I was head of the department. We had about 60 staff. Some were agency staff and some were permanent. And we wanted to make sure every single one of our staff received appropriate training. And I think one of the reasons that I took it quite seriously, I'd attended a seminar previously which said that students living away from home were quite vulnerable if they had an allergy because the parents weren't checking the labels, they were with new friends, new peer group, and they weren't familiar with the menu or the shops to get their supplies if they were cooking for themselves. And I thought we've got, a large number, a lot of them actually were local students, but some were staying in our halls, some were residing in flats and houses. And I thought we need to make it as easy as possible for those students. So our training program began and all our team went through the training, including myself. And bizarrely, a few months after that, my own daughter, I have 3 children grown up, but my youngest at the time was 14, and she started complaining of reactions to food. In fact, her lips were tingling at one stage and her lips were tingling, and she said, I just feel funny. She was 14 years old. So this happened a few times, and started at Christmas actually, and then by Easter the following year, she was a pattern of 2 days at home, 3 days in bed, sorry, 2 days in school, 3 days in bed because of something she'd eaten, 3 days in school, 2 days in bed. And I couldn't really work out what was happening. I was getting very stressed because as the head of catering, providing food for a number of students, my own daughter at home was really quite sick. Couldn't keep food down. She was losing weight. Her face was bloated. She had no energy. So we started to take food groups out of her diet and keep a diary and see what happened. So it was quite a difficult process because she's gluten-free, lactose-free, no potatoes and no eggs. So whilst I was busy giving her Jacqui potatoes to replace the bread, she was still being sick. I replaced her dairy milk with oat milk, she was still being sick. So it was really quite difficult and upsetting for me. So, but on that journey, I learned an awful lot. She also went away to university for a week's summer school to Oxford, hoping to enjoy the experience there. Bought her a new dress. She was going to go for a dinner. She was going to do some presentations. She was going to punt down the river, but she lasted one night. She rang me. I'm back in my room. I'm really quite sick. The teachers rang. And although I'd sent the list of allergies and intolerances, there'd been a mix-up with a meal. So she had to come home. She had to come home on the train the next day. And she said, I'm not going to go away to university now because I want to know where my bedroom is. I want to know where my home is, and I don't want to travel too far. So she chose to stay in Manchester, and she's now third year. She's doing really well. She's enjoying the course. And year 2 and 3, she's in a shared house with 2 other friends. But first year she stayed at home because she didn't feel confident to go away to university. I thought that was quite a big decision, quite a difficult decision, and felt as if she was missing out somewhat on the university experience. And I just thought, well, even though she's not life-threatening allergy, she doesn't carry an EpiPen. If she's poorly, she's ill for a few days. So she'll feel off colour, she'll be sick until a system balances itself again. She can't just walk into a restaurant. She can't just buy anything without checking ingredients. And because she's got a potato, which is one of the foods outside the top 14, she has to check the ingredient lists every single time. So that led me to decide it was time for me to move on. I've been at the university for a long time, and I thought I'd put my experiences of working in a kitchen with a big team. We actually won awards for the way that we tackled allergies for our students in the university. We won Cost Sector Catering Team of the Year in 2017. And I thought I could use that experience to share with other caterers, along with, actually, I'm a parent of somebody who can't just go out to eat without planning and preparing. So I've got a foot in both camps, if you like. I can understand sometimes in a really busy kitchen, it may create an issue, but it shouldn't. And if you've got planned and prepared beforehand, you should be able to tackle almost all dietary requirements as they come in. So I like to share my experience with caterers, school caterers, universities, hospitals, restaurants, and I do it in a very informal way where I talk about my own experiences and try and provide solutions to the problems, not put barriers up. So that's me, Jacqui McPeake.
I think that's really interesting that, you know, I come from a world of allergies and intolerances. You've got more experience of, but actually they cause such big upheavals in both of our lives and both of our children's lives. And I'm not sure that everyone really appreciates that, you know, something so small, you know, a small amount of wheat can make your daughter ill for days. You know, the smallest amount of dairy that Nathan eats, you know, he will be so ill for, you know, a certain amount of time. And it has an effect on how you go about your daily life, doesn't it? And it informs choices on where you do go to eat and what kind of foods you are going to eat and cook and all those kind of things. So yeah, this is interesting. It's been really interesting talking to you for that reason. It's been lovely speaking to someone else who's seen it from both sides as well.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. And actually, from my daughter's point of view, she was quite, well, she struggled for GCSE. She was doing work from home. She managed to maintain her grades because she would come down in the mornings with a dressing gown on, a hood up. I don't feel well, I can't go in. But she would work from her bedroom and maintain the grades. She did really well. However, when she got to college, she found in the first year where we still hadn't sorted things out properly for her. We still hadn't pinned down the right diet, if you like. She was still in and out of college. She wrote a blog where she said she had a blog called Last But Not Yeast. And one of her blogs was talked about her feelings of feeling left out in the first term at college. She hadn't settled properly. She hadn't made that group of friends. She felt isolated. She felt she wasn't sure, doing a full week at college was a good thing. But she felt it affected her enjoyment of those first few initial weeks at college. She since did settle in once we got her diet sorted out, but you don't think about that side of it always. There's a knock-on effect.
Yeah, and you don't want anyone else to go through that, do you?
No.
University is supposed to be so much fun, and if there are kids out there that are going to uni and they're facing all these fears, and that they feel like they can't cross these barriers and be the same person as the person next to them, it is really hard for them, and you just don't want that. So if we can spark a conversation in any places that deals with kids of these ages, or any ages, it doesn't matter what age they are, but to sort of try and change that, I think that would be brilliant. So
Yeah.
I am excited.
Yeah, I did a lot of work with my team, as you know, because I just thought there's going to be lots more. My term was there's going to be a lot more Sophies out there. They might not be anaphylactic, but they're going to either be eating the wrong food and be poorly, bringing their own food, and from our point of view, that was a loss of income,
Yeah.
or not being brave enough to ask the questions. So I wanted to put the team in the shoes of the customer. Stand on the other side of the counter. If you're 18 years old, you are not going to stand there and ask all the questions, perhaps, because you won't feel so confident. And this came to light because Sophie had a few tests to be done at the hospital. She had to starve for 24 hours. And the hospital is near the university, so I obviously took time off work, went with her, and I said, when you've finished your tests, we'll go and get something to eat. When we walked into the restaurant, it was battered fish, which she couldn't eat. It was curry, which we didn't want a chance, and it was pasta. So I walked into the kitchen, I said to the chef, Sophie's here, she's starving, and actually I'm not sure what she can eat. So jokingly, he said, oh, well, I can offer poached fish. I provide it for 2 girls I know on a Friday. So she had poached fish, which was great, with rice and vegetables. But all weekend, it really annoyed me because I thought we have 36,000 students, 4,000 staff, and we do 2 poached fish. I was head of catering and I didn't know about this offer. So I went back in on the Monday and I said, how do people know? Just because you've chatted to 2 girls, how do the rest of the customers know? I said, we should put it on the menu board, poached fish available on request. In fact, I said, why don't you put yourself in those shoes? And I challenged the team to take an allergen out of the diet for a month, which I think was too long in hindsight. But I asked for 14 volunteers to represent each one of the 14 allergens. I got 25 volunteers from across the departments, actually. Conference team joined in, some of the admin staff joined in, and some of the team members joined in. But it really was interesting the way they actually took it to heart. So one of my managers came in the next day and told me he nearly died. And I said, oh my goodness, what happened? And he said, the wife, she didn't check the chocolate, had nuts in. I could have died. But it was interesting the way they really took it on board, and they found it difficult shopping. They talked about the ingredient labels and how difficult it was to look at them. They found it difficult to cook in a family if they had a separate diet, and eating out was a challenge. So on the back of that, we had a feedback session, and I said, now, if you were that person that was gluten-free, if you were that person that was nut-free, if you came in today, how do you know what's on the menu? How easy is it for you to choose something? Because at 18 years old, they're not going to be the one to say, can I see the chef, please? Because I need to discuss my diet. So we incorporated into our menu, this is maybe suitable for a gluten-free diet. We highlighted it in purple, used the purple as the allergy colour. If it was lactose-free, the same. In the coffee bar, where there was always queues because people were having lattes and macchiatos and cappuccinos, there was always a big queue. So we took away the free-from products and put them onto a separate table. Free-from products available here, please browse. Taking away that feeling that I'm holding up the queue trying to find out if this gluten-free brownie is gluten-free, and trying to put yourself in that position of feeling less stressed. And our signs were very friendly. If you've got a food allergy or intolerance, please speak to us. We're all trained and happy to help. So that's kind of changed the thought process of the team, and it became part of our culture. It's what we did, and the team knew that it was a high importance for me. So it really worked, really turned the team around.
And I think it's such a different experience from, you know, the way that we've gone about things. So we like to eat out, we try and eat out, you know, every now and again. And we've got to the point now where we will go to the same restaurants where we know the staff understand the menu, understand what allergies are. We've been to several restaurants where you say to someone, look, my son is dairy allergic, and they'll give you a gluten-free menu. I mean, what good is that? I mean, how much confidence am I going to have as a parent to say, yeah, okay, my son's going to have this, and think, yeah, they know what they're doing? Or so that there is, I think there's still such a lack of awareness. I find menus frustrating. They either have very poor choices for people with allergies, and I understand, so I'm obviously doing catering myself, I understand that it is difficult to try and cater for everyone, but no one wants to be left out. Nobody wants to be made to feel different, and they don't want to have a big thing made of it either. So if there's something that people can do in their restaurants to make the world easier for people with allergies and intolerances and lifestyle choices, I mean, I think that is a really big thing. We go back to the places we know are safe. We avoid, like the plague, the ones that that have caused us issues in the past. And those are the ones that you mention to people as well. Don't go here because of this. I've had this experience. You just think about the return custom that you're going to get if you can say, I've had a great meal and I recommend it to you. I think you've got so your local pub, you were saying last time.
So I just work with allergen accreditation. So the allergen accreditation scheme is a national scheme where we audit literally from suppliers at the back door through to service and the customer and the food on the plate. So it's a really in-depth audit. So I can audit on behalf of that scheme. So a local a pub restaurant near me. So I provided training for them. We provided separate, actually. The chefs wanted a slightly different view on the training than the front of house. So we devised two sessions for them because there are different questions and different concerns in the front of house. So during the training, I mentioned the scheme, and when we finished the training, they all passed and were all on board with the training. They were keen to make sure that their customers would feel welcome, and how do they know that they've all been trained, and how do they encourage more customers to feel confident in eating with them. So I took them through the scheme. They took the scheme last Christmas, and they were delighted. They were really pleased. In fact, on the training, they mentioned that they had a customer who booked in advance a party of 10, but one of them had a severe nut allergy. But on the menu was a walnut and orange salad. So because they'd booked in advance, they took nuts out of the kitchen from Friday through to the Sunday when the party was coming, so that they could reassure them that actually the kitchen was nut free. But they did say in the training that actually if the customer had rung up the night before, for example, and said they were coming, they couldn't guarantee it was nut free because there were nuts in the kitchen. So after the training, they took that dish off the menu and said the risk wasn't worth it. So then after they'd achieved allergen accreditation status, they did a bit of a push in the local paper, and they promoted their new scheme. So they rang me and said, we've got a booking now for a little boy who's 5. It's the first time his parents have been confident enough to bring him out for his birthday. What else do we need to do, because he's got severe nut allergy? So I ran through everything with them. I said, actually, because you've removed nuts from your kitchen, you don't bring in any nut products, you've taken nuts off the bar, you don't sell them. The only risk is if a customer comes in with a energy bar or peanut bar, whatever, Snickers bar, but it's very unlikely because they're coming out to eat. So just ask the team to be vigilant. And apart from that, you can absolutely guarantee that everything there is nut free and you've all been trained. And the little boy was delighted. So
And his
that
parents
family,
too.
yeah, the family are now confident and they'll go back. And he did say we've seen an increase in the number of people with allergies feeling confident enough to come out to eat with us. So that's brilliant.
It makes all the difference. And
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, have had the total opposite experience in a pub in the Peak District a few years ago, where there were sausages on the menu, and we asked for the ingredients of the sausages, and the guy running the restaurant came out and said, "Oh, we've thrown the packaging away. We don't know what's in the sausages, but I'm sure they're okay." I thought, well, for one, it is illegal. I checked that with you earlier. It is illegal. You cannot do that. That is absolutely ridiculous. You need to know what's in your food if you're going to be serving it to everybody. And the idea that you can just throw away the label and have no consequences on it is just ridiculous. How am I supposed to have any confidence in you saying, or someone saying, it will be fine? You can't take that risk, not with someone who's got a severe allergy. Even with an intolerance, can't do it. So that's the kind of place that I'm going to rubbish and never speak about again, or never, never recommend, never go back to. But the places that you're talking about, that little boy's parents would rave about it for days.
Absolutely.
And we'll probably come back for every birthday for the next few years. So it's such a different experience. It can be so much. There are just so many things that can be done to make things easier for people like my son, like your daughter. And I just think that, people need to take that on board and make those little tweaks and make it safer for everyone.
Good. So I think that's probably it for today. Do you think?
I think so.
So this is our weekly chat. So next week, I think we're going to talk in more detail about your son growing up and about how he's now becoming more independent.
Yeah.
And my experience with my daughter, who's now third year at university, and her approach to living with allergies and how it can be done. If there's anything you want us to talk about, our experiences, please do get in touch and comment on our posts, and we'd love to have some engagement with you and try and get more awareness and get these chats on a weekly basis.
That'd be great. If anything resonates, definitely. If you disagree with us, I'd love to hear that as well. So looking forward to some comments from you guys. And next week, definitely talking about growing up with allergies and, moving away from your parents' control and taking it all on yourself. So it's going to be an interesting subject, one very close to my heart.
Yeah. So that's great. Thanks very much.
Lovely.
See you next week.
Thank you very much.